The Second World War transformed ordinary people into survivors, forcing millions to adapt, improvise, and endure under circumstances that would break the unprepared. From the rubble-strewn streets of bombed cities to the frozen foxholes of distant battlefields, men and women discovered that survival depended not on luck but on knowledge, resourcefulness, and an unshakable will to persevere. Today, as we face our own uncertainties, natural disasters, supply chain disruptions, and unforeseen emergencies, these wartime lessons remain as relevant as ever. The skills that kept soldiers alive in the chaos of combat and civilians resilient on the home front offer us a blueprint for modern preparedness, proving that the wisdom forged in humanity's darkest hours can illuminate our path forward. When blood soaks through fabric and every second counts, the difference between life and death often rests in the hands of whoever stands closest. WWII medics learned this brutal truth in muddy aid stations and shell-cratered fields, where the introduction of mass-produced penicillin revolutionized battlefield medicine but couldn't replace the fundamental need for immediate action. They mastered the art of stopping hemorrhages with improvised tourniquets, treating shock with nothing but blankets and reassurance, and stabilizing the wounded long enough to reach proper care. Today, this translates into knowing how to control severe bleeding with direct pressure, recognizing the signs of shock, and performing CPR with confidence rather than panic. The modern survivalist understands that certified training from organizations like the American Red Cross transforms abstract knowledge into muscle memory, ensuring that when crisis strikes, whether in a remote wilderness or a crowded street, you become the difference between tragedy and survival. Imagine a world where nothing could be wasted, where every scrap of fabric, every ounce of fat, every sliver of soap held precious value. This was the reality of the WWII home front, where rationing books dictated survival and creativity became currency. Families learned to darn socks until they were more patch than original material, to render fat into soap, and to substitute honey for sugar in recipes that had been family traditions for generations. This make-do-and-mend mentality wasn't just frugality, it was survival philosophy that recognized the fragility of supply chains and the importance of self-sufficiency. Today, as natural disasters demonstrate how quickly modern conveniences can vanish, this wartime wisdom teaches us to view our resources through different eyes. Baking soda becomes toothpaste, honey transforms into wound dressing, and improvisation replaces dependence. The prepared mind sees not what is missing, but what can be repurposed, adapted, and conserved until normalcy returns. In the fog of war, soldiers couldn't rely on convenience. They needed certainty. Map reading and compass navigation weren't optional skills, but essential tools that separated the successful mission from the fatal mistake. Military personnel learned to read terrain, calculate distances, and orient themselves using nothing but paper, magnetic north, and their trained judgment. Today, our dependence on GPS and smartphones has created a dangerous vulnerability, leaving us helpless when batteries die, or networks collapse during the very emergencies when navigation matters most. Carrying a physical map and compass isn't nostalgic romanticism. It's practical wisdom that acknowledges technology's limitations. Practice in familiar terrain builds the confidence needed when you're lost in unfamiliar wilderness or trying to evacuate through disrupted urban environments where street signs have vanished and electronic devices offer only blank screens. Survival in wartime demanded a heightened state of consciousness, a constant reading of environment and circumstance that became as natural as breathing. Both soldiers and civilians developed what modern experts call situational awareness, the ability to notice subtle changes, recognize patterns, and anticipate danger before it materialized. This wasn't paranoia, but practiced vigilance, understanding that survival often hinged on noticing the unfamiliar car, the unusual silence, or the deviation from routine. Nothing strips away civilization's veneer faster than cold rain and approaching darkness. WWII training emphasized the absolute fundamentals, creating fire and shelter under adverse conditions, using whatever materials presented themselves. Soldiers learned to coax flames from damp wood, to shield matches from wind, and to construct lean-tos that offered genuine protection rather than false security. These weren't theoretical exercises but practical skills tested in freezing forests and desert nights where failure meant hypothermia or exposure. Today, these ancient arts remain foundational to emergency preparedness. Mastering multiple fire-starting methods, matches, lighters, friction, ensures redundancy when one method fails. Understanding shelter construction, even a simple lean-to using branches and natural materials, provides the warmth and protection that sustains life when modern comforts vanish. These skills, practiced in controlled conditions, become instinctive responses during actual emergencies when panic threatens to overwhelm reason. The greatest inheritance from that generation isn't medals or monuments, but the living knowledge that ordinary people possess extraordinary capacity for survival when armed with proper skills and determined spirit. These 5 wartime lessons remind us that preparedness isn't about fearing the future, but respecting it enough to meet it on our own terms. The resourcefulness, medical knowledge, navigation skills, awareness, and primitive survival techniques that sustain millions through humanity's darkest conflict offer us a roadmap for whatever challenges lie ahead. Subscribe to Fieldcraft Chronicles to continue this journey through history's most valuable lessons, and share this knowledge with others who understand that self-reliance isn't merely a hobby. It's a responsibility we owe ourselves and those who depend on us.